It's recording now.
Okay.
All right, let me prop that up. All right, hello, welcome. As requested, Braden will be joining me for the remainder of the vlogs on this trip. I'll start off by mentioning both Braden and I are about 3.5 standard drinks in of plum wine, which is not actually a wine. It's a liqueur. It's a plum flavored liqueur that's like pretty popular in Japan. It's basically like sake that is steeped with plums. So, really good. Cracked open a bottle today. There was a whole debacle. We wanted to go to a cocktail bar today, which we will get to, but let's just say the plum wine we bought turned out to be a very good investment.
That's true. Yeah.
Once again, have the book to recap the last couple of days. I think we left off in Kanazawa.
Yes.
It was the night of we got into Kanazawa.
Yes.
And boy, do we have some updates.
We have lots. Honestly, every day is like blending into each other. I think that I did something 5 days ago and I did it yesterday.
Yeah.
So this will be very useful, especially in my elevated state.
Yeah.
You can probably tell I'm a little bit smiling.
Both of
right
us
now.
are, which is great.
Yeah. So hopefully this gets it a little bit. The juice is flowing.
Oh, 100%. And the good thing about this is this also serves as a memory device for us. So we can look back on our dates and say oh yeah, this is what we were doing on every day. So this is not just for your entertainment, it's for ours as well.
Exactly. And this will make the unfortunate news of the end of tonight, a little bit more bearable, given that we got this out of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, we did.
Yes.
And that was a nice surprise, by the way, coming back to the Airbnb and seeing all the comments. So thank you to those of you who liked and commented on the first video. Hopefully they keep getting better and they keep getting more entertaining. But the last several days definitely provided some entertainment. So
I will also say I cannot believe in the 8 minutes I was in it and the 3 seconds my foot was in it. That my foot became a part of that thumbnail.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. YouTube kind of cooked with that thumbnail. That was a hilarious thumbnail. I did not choose that thumbnail, but YouTube, I kind of just want to let it choose it on this one because I'm
should I become a foot model or something? Because they clearly knew something.
I guess so.
Yeah.
They like your feet. Anyway. Without further ado, let's get started. So we left off in Kanazawa that night. We got in, we rode the Shinkansen for the first time. I was in love. I was like, these Shinkansens come gliding into the...
Shinkansen. We have not figured out... Sorry, we have not figured out the exact definite, how to say it. I say Shinkansen.
Shinkansen. I think it's
Shinkansen. You say Shinkansen.
All right. I think... my dad said Shinkansen. So,
the
bullet train.
Fast bullet train.
Let's just Americanize this and say the bullet train.
Bullet trains.
Right? These things come gliding into the station. I mentioned this on the Kanazawa video. They're futuristic. They're awesome. They're so great. I'm in love.
Yeah.
So we get to Kanazawa. We spend the night there. Airbnb is cozy. It's nice. Everything like that.
Yeah.
And the next day, we start off our day with a lovely, healthy breakfast of donuts.
We did, because on the way in that night, we saw this place called Mr. Donut.
Right next to our Airbnb.
Yeah. And it's weird. One thing I will notice, it's weird because it's Mr. lowercase m, but Donut capitalized D.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Okay, interesting.
Why is it? Well, I don't know. I had no idea. I think it's a chain.
Could be.
It sounds like a chain. But we went there in the morning to get breakfast.
Either way, if it's a chain, they know what they're doing because there were some good ass donuts there.
There were some pretty good ass donuts.
I forget all the ones we had, but I had some here. We had a strawberry one. We had the old fashioned honey one.
Yeah,
that was my favorite. And then there's 2 other ones, right?
And then we had the
sampler.
We had a sampler. What do you?
The donut holes.
Yeah, the donut holes.
Yeah,
sampler donut holes.
They weren't as good. The
they
full
were
donuts.
Not as good.
There was also this glazed ball one where it was it was kind of hard to. It was a donut, but each it had it was a donut made up of donut holes.
Okay. The hexagonal. I forget the name of them, but those exist everywhere. If you go to any boba shop. I should know the name of these. Yeah. I was trying.
I always get boba. I don't get pastries.
But at the boba shop, they have the pastries of the hexagonal donuts, and I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of them. I can look while you recount, and I'll come back.
That's fair.
It's the hexagonal donut looking things, which are kind of it looks like donut holes.
Okay.
And those are very common.
Oh,
there's a name for them. And
okay.
I'm blanking on them.
Yeah, if you want to look,
they're very common.
I'll recap.
I'll look.
I mean, we had a couple. There was bunch of different flavors. Like the sampler with the donut holes as well. Like what we did was we just like each had like a half of one, and we like split the donuts in half. We had 4 donuts. We had like the hexagonal one, old fashioned honey one, the strawberry one. And I'm blanking on the 4th one, but they're all pretty good. Donuts were better than the donut holes, but we started our day with the breakfast of champions. That's really the moral of that story. So if you're ever in Kanazawa or anywhere in Japan you see Mr. Donut, stop on by. Like they have pretty good donuts there. Like I would say like that was excellent. We then realized that the big fish market in Kanazawa is like right next to
Sorry, I thought they were called mochi donuts. That they are called mochi donuts.
Are they really?
Yeah,
Okay,
I was like, that doesn't make sense.
No.
Okay, I get mochi and matcha mixed up. So I'm like, oh, matcha. No, but they are mochi donuts.
Okay.
So that's what they are.
Mochi donuts. Okay,
Yes.
interesting.
But
So,
yes.
which is different from mochi itself, as we know.
Yes, it's different from mochi
As we
itself,
know.
but they are the mochi donuts.
Okay.
We had 2 different ones.
Yes, we did. Was one of them
Like
just, like
one of them was just like
chocolate?
regular glazed,
Right.
and then the other one was chocolate. I think.
Was it chocolate?
I think so.
Okay, that would make sense.
Yeah, but the
So-
fish market was right there.
Yeah. Famous,
Like the famous fish market, we just stumbled into.
right next to Mr. Donut, right next to our Airbnb.
Yeah, right next to our Airbnb.
So if you know Kanazawa, you know where we were staying at, and we have since moved on from Kanazawa. By the way, we're in Kyoto right now.
yeah, you
We
can't
should
dodge
mention
this
that.
anymore. Try sending
Right,
some
we're-
assassins to get us.
Exactly.
It's not gonna happen.
Currently in Kyoto for the night. We'll get back to
and we're
that.
not gonna reveal the intricate details of
No.
where we are right now
Clearly.
because we know you guys. We know you're frantically searching up. Oh my gosh, mochi donut, Mr. Donut, right in
Right.
Kanazawa. How can I send like a prank? How can I SWAT them? Even?
SWAT.
I don't know if they have the SWAT in Japan.
What is the Japanese
Can I
version of
send the
SWAT?
Yakuza to Liam and Brain in Japan and get them killed?
Right.
That's why we were refraining from sharing the information
Exactly.
where we're staying, just in case.
Just in case.
Just in
like,
case.
We love you guys, but
Love you guys. We
trust
know
but
you.
verify.
We know you. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of donuts, I'll get back to the fish market. I like the old fashioned the best. Like I'm an old fashioned person. You put old fashioned in front of any food or drink item, I'm like old fashioned lemonade, old fashioned like drinks, old fashioned donuts. Like oh man, that's my thing. Old fashioned like pretty much anything old fashioned like food wise, beverage wise. Oh, that's my thing.
Well, I had no idea it was old fashioned until today. I did it say that in English or something?
Yeah, dude,
I did.
I mean, also it's like old fashioned donuts look like that.
I
Like,
never heard of an old fashioned donut.
Oh,
in my entire
interesting.
life.
Yeah,
I was
that's
just like,
what they
oh,
look
this is a
like.
good donut.
Yeah, they're old fashioned for a reason.
Yeah. Well, it was good.
It's good. Well, so we wandered around the fish market for a little bit. We're like, oh, this is cool because it's like I said, it's the fish market of Kanazawa.
Yeah.
Like like a lot like it's a serious thing. It's like yeah, it's kind of tourists go there to like check it out, but like it's a very serious thing. Like people
I'd say a lot of locals were there as well.
That's why I was
was.
like it's a serious
Yeah.
like it's an
Serious
actual
fish
fish market where like the people of Kanazawa go, the restaurants of Kanazawa. But like yeah, it's a serious.
It
thing.
felt
So
never
just-
ending. As well. I will
Right,
say this, like it just went. It
it-
was a long line, but there
so
were
much.
also like branching paths.
Yeah,
I was
it
like,
it was a lot. Like it was
Yeah.
pretty cool. Like lots of cool things to see and smells there. It was awesome. Like just
Tons of-
sensory overload. Tons of fish, tons of crabs, like all types of seafood.
squid.
Good
Yeah,
stuff.
so many different things.
Which is a nice segue into our next point that I have written down. Is because
Sure.
immediately after our breakfast we go back to the Airbnb.
Yeah.
And then we go to a place called what was it? Kurin Sushi.
Yeah, current sushi.
Kurin Sushi, right? And
Yeah.
so for the reference, for the people at home who are watching this, neither Braden and I are really like big seafood people. Like, tried here. I like shellfish. Braden, has tried sashimi before, but like I've tried sushi in the past, like, California rolls, I think, but like
Right.
nothing too adventurous.
Yeah.
So, we're like, well, we're in Japan and we're in Kanazawa, which is on the coast. So like we have to try sushi.
Have to get sushi.
And so we go to Kurin Sushi and wow. Like I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it as well. There was a large-ish lunch menu. I mean, it had like 7 items on it, and we
Yeah.
could have probably gotten some other stuff too. But we were kind of between the like chef select, which was 5 sort of more normal fish, and 10, which was like the premium.
Right, which is like premium chef select.
Yeah, premium
right.
chef select, and we went with the 5. We both got the 5, and we tried each of those because we are very much novice.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I got the 10, like there was like some like crab stuff on there,
Right.
like some crab isn't that crazy, but
Yeah,
there
this
was,
guy's never had crab. I was like, what
sorry,
the heck? Like,
sorry, but there were like a
wow.
ton, like there were 10 different sashimi-ish style on top of rice, and like I feel like we wouldn't have been able to appreciate the 10, especially also it was like 10 different ones, so we couldn't really split it because you kind of just throw it all in your mouth at once.
Right.
So that would have been a bit unfortunate. So we each got the 5 chef select, which I'm trying to recall. It had
is mackerel, flounder.
We think it was mackerel.
We're like I'm almost positive it was mackerel.
Language barrier was a little bit of a problem when he was explaining things to us.
Is a common theme among this trip, which we'll show you.
But 90% sure it was mackerel. Then it was
flounder.
Flounder.
That was definitely flounder.
Salmon, shrimp,
swordfish. So those are like the classics, right?
Yeah.
Like those are the ones that everybody's had.
Swordfish? Is swordfish a popular one?
I would say so. I've heard of swordfish before. Like, I've heard of people eating swordfish.
Of course.
Like,
but like on sushi,
I feel like I mean, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. For those of you who are more cultured, especially and more versed in Japanese cuisine and sushi, like I feel like swordfish is a fairly, and maybe mackerel is as well. But like I think of sushi, I think of like salmon, I think of tuna, I think of maybe crab, shrimp.
And there was no tuna though.
Which I was shocked.
That's why I was confused.
I would have swapped the mackerel with the tuna.
Yeah,
but that's fine.
Well, I'm glad we didn't.
Right,
because the mackerel was my favorite personally.
It's my least favorite.
Really?
I thought it was too fishy. I thought so. The mackerel was like pretty nice on the forefront, but the back taste was a little bit too fishy for me. I like the salmon. I mean, the shrimp was also pretty good.
The salmon was solid, but I honestly was a bit underwhelmed because I've only really had salmon, like raw salmon, in the past.
Interesting.
I mean, I've had raw tuna as well, like on like sashimi style, and I was just like a bit underwhelmed. I don't know why. I think they all have wasabi in them.
They have all wasabi.
I've never had wasabi in my life.
So how was that?
It was it wasn't too bad.
Okay,
because it was just a little bit.
Right.
But like I've never had wasabi in my life, and I think. What we noticed, I think each of us had a different amount of wasabi for each one, right? Like
I think so.
Because some of you are like, oh, that's a lot of wasabi, and I'm like, oh, I didn't really get much.
Yeah, I think they. I mean.
So for instance, like towards the end, I felt like I was getting more wasabi, and I think you were eating less, and it kind of messed with our preferences a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think towards the beginning, I had a little bit less wasabi than later because I liked the mackerel probably the most.
Okay.
Out of all of them.
Interesting.
And you liked it the least.
I liked it the least.
I feel like you said you have too much wasabi, but maybe not.
No, there was another one that
the fishy aftertaste.
Maybe it was like shrimp. Yeah, I didn't like the fishy aftertaste of the mackerel. None of the other ones tasted fishy, which is my biggest concern about sushi. Like again, me being idiot American, never like really gone out of his comfort zone food wise. It's been like sushi's gonna taste fishy. No, it really doesn't. It's like, I mean, of course, most people who are watching this probably know this, but like, it's pretty mild tasting. It doesn't really have like too strong of a taste one way or another. The mackerel did, which is why I personally was my least favorite.
That's why I liked it, because a lot of the other ones didn't have a lot of flavor.
Interesting.
Like the salmon almost underwhelmed me. Like it was quality salmon.
Oh, it was.
But I just didn't taste it much.
And speaking of the salmon, like all the fish here, like apparently, and I read this online, so like this may or may not be true, but apparently Korean Sushi gets their fish from that fish market that we were at. So it's like, it's a legit thing, right?
Yeah.
And like, we were worried about Korean because like we read online, you have to like reserve like really far in advance. We're like, well, 2 idiot Americans did not do their homework and did not reserve. We got in fine for lunch. So the Korean Sushi, this is a shout out, really good sushi. But we finished off the meal with something a little bit more.
We did,
more adventurous.
We were very much debating what we wanted to do, whether we wanted to move on to the 10 sushi, get this king crab, like lady crab or whatever. Which to me was scary because there were like crab eggs. I was like, crab eggs? Like I mean, I know there's fish eggs, but like crab eggs.
Which I thought would be like fine. Like,
dude, I was scared. I was scared.
He was initially pushing for the crab, and I was like, that'd be cool. But then I was hesitant. But like as the meal went on, I was like, oh yeah, let's do crab. And he was like, oh, I'll back off. So it was kind of interesting seeing like the tables flip. I was like initially hesitant, and then he became. So we decided on something that was. It was interesting.
Which I thought was more would be more tame, like more palatable in a sense, which was the eel.
Eel bowl.
Eel bowl.
It was eel and rice. Right.
And with a like sauce, like
some
soy
type
sauce
of
or something. I don't know.
I was looking it up online. There's some type of sauce they.
Might have been like sesame.
Maybe.
Might have been sesame oil.
Who knows?
It wasn't too like overpowering or anything.
Definitely an acquired taste. I will say, but. A quickly acquired taste because like the first bite we had, we were like, oh, like this is like not our favorite thing. But then by the second time, like we were like, oh, like this, like by the time we finished the eel bowl, we were like, oh, this is like actually pretty good. Yeah. So it's like, kind of moral of the story. You kind of don't like something, you're kind of not sure about something, have a second bite.
Yeah.
Like, which will come back later on in the story because we've tried some things since then that were, let's just say, not great.
Yeah.
Or at least like they were quality things, but we just did not like them. So after having a great breakfast, great lunch, sushi, kind of expanding our horizons a little bit. Did you have anything more to say about that, by the way? Like,
no, not really. No. I mean, we went back to the apartment. So we're not gonna go through the details. But like laundry stuff, air drying.
We'll get back to this. Like I have this in the notes right here. It's like jeans still. Yeah.
Meanwhile, we're trying to dry our clothes to various degrees of success.
I know I've joked about being the most technologically illiterate member of Gen Z, but like this guy might like. I've had no problems with Japanese appliances. This guy, since day one, showers, toilets, dry. Like it's like I'm figuring it out. I have like no problem. This guy's like,
I let him deal with it.
He's like,
I let him
can you fix the shower for me? And it's like yesterday the shower was like there's like an extra step. But like no, the Japanese appliances are great. Like it's really fun. Like I love the bidets. I love just everything is so convenient. It's so nice. Like I wish we would do more of this in the U.S.
In the defense of the showers, I have my glasses off, I'm dead blind, and I'm freezing my ass off every time. And I'm just like, fuck this shit.
This is a funny story.
We'll get to it.
Okay, anyway, yeah.
No,
so, I don't want this video to go too long, but, so after we have food and everything, we head over. This is where the real start of the day comes with the sightseeing. So, Kanazawa is known for being very pretty. It's a very beautiful city. Lots of nice parks, lots of nice gardens. And so we start off the day really with the sightseeing with the Kanazawa Castle Park and Kenroku-en Garden.
Yes.
Beautiful display of Japanese craftsmanship. So we've noticed a common trend among castles, temples, and shrines in Japan.
They all get destroyed at some point.
They all burn down. So
yes.
And I shouldn't laugh at this. Like every time one of these things burns down, it's tragic. It's a loss of history. But like, there's so many
things to us.
Right. Some of it's because of the war. There's so many places in Japan you'll see like
USA.
Burned down in the war, like bombed in 1945.
Rebuilt in 1946.
So you're like, oh, that's not great, right? World War II. Yeah, that not great. I mean, I'm not going to argue the politics of World War II here, of course, but like, yeah, I think we can all agree World War II is a pretty, tragic loss of life, loss of cultural artifacts for, all sides involved in this war, right? Yeah. But a lot of shrines, temples, castles lost to fire. Somehow, some way, and Kanazawa Castle, no different. And
this one I'm pretty sure was because of lightning strikes. Initially, they built it at the highest peak in Kanazawa.
Which is how you build castles.
Yes, but unfortunately, if lightning is going to strike, it's going to go to the closest path, which tends to be the highest point.
True.
So they then learned from the mistake and built on the second highest peak. But I think that also burnt down for some random. It's a
never-ending cycle. I think now in the 21st century, we would be able to not have these awesome buildings burned down.
Yeah.
Because we have firefighting services. But yeah, with this, it's also interesting because with Kanazawa Castle, we get a really nice history lesson of how traditional Japanese craftsmen and carpentry methods are used in rebuilding it. So the last time Kanazawa Castle was burned down was totally destroyed, fire of 1881. And they've started to slowly rebuild it ever since then. And in the main one of the buildings that's actually been restored, they have a whole section where you can kind of learn about the restoration process, which is super cool. As two engineers, at least for me, I was fascinated with just learning about it's like a puzzle. It's it's so cool how this is all built together. It's it fits together I'm sure everybody's seen a TikTok or an Instagram of the Japanese woodworking method where there's no screws involved. I'm that's what this is. It fits together, and the engineering and the craftsmanship and the art that goes into this is insane, and it's
ridiculous.
And to this day, it's they're rebuilding Kanazawa Castle slowly but surely, same way.
Yep.
And it's mind blowing, and it's just
way over my head. We have 4 degrees between us.
Yeah.
It's genius.
It really is.
Obviously, we're not craftsmen or anything, but it's just you learn these basic physics principles, and they somehow probably way before even Isaac Newton existed and mechanics were even a thing. Through trial and error, I guess, we're able to just learn and understand basic physics to be able to build things to stay, and it's just mind-boggling how they get, and it's beautiful as well. That's the other thing. Not only does it work, not only is it practical, but it's beautiful.
It's like the Shinkansen, it's a bullet train. I won't try to butcher that name. It's like the bullet train. It's beautiful, and it also is practical, and it's awesome. And they have like a display at the Kanazawa Castle of like these blocks that you can kind of just build, and it's like, or not build, but you can kind of see how these techniques, and it's really cool because I'm very much a hands-on learner where I'm like, I like to get my hands involved, like I like to feel things and like learn how they go, and so being able to like reconstruct these like construction methods is just, I was in awe. I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. And of course the Kinroku and garden that we went to next is like the garden next to the Kanazawa Castle Park. Beautiful, reflecting pools, you know, great photo opportunities. It's just gorgeous garden, and you know, it just really peaceful. Like, people said you could spend half a day there. You easily could. It's just so peaceful. Like, I would love to go in the summer with a book and just read. Like, a little bit chilly in the winter, but you know, it's the winter in Japan, and we're at a pretty high northern latitude.
So from there, I mean, we had a lot. I mean, this is a general theme of our itinerary, is we always have a lot. But here, everything closes at like 4 or 5. And to be fair, we never know if it's 4, 5, or 6 when something closes.
Exactly.
Because you can try your best on Apple Maps, Google Maps, or whatever, you know, websites that are in Japanese that don't translate. You can never fully know, because even if it says something's open or even if it says something's closed, you never know. So we wanted to go to this ninja temple. At like, I mean, and it was like, at this point, it was like 3:30, and I was like, oh, it's like 40-minute walk. So we leave, and we're like booking it, and we start running. Because we're trying to make this ninja temple, which you found online somewhere, because it's in this samurai district, like Kanazawa.
I don't think it's in the samurai district. I think it's like it's
the district south of it.
And so it's like, the thing about the temple is it's like, it's cool. It has like a lot of hidden passages and everything. But as we come to find out, like, you can only tour it with a tour guide in Japanese. Of course, like, that's not a problem, but like...
Well, it is a problem. That is a problem.
Right, it's a problem for you and I.
That's a problem for us.
Yeah, right. Like, so, you know, we go there, and, you know, I was like, oh, Ninja Temple, cool, everything like that. And, like, you know, people there were like, oh, you can tour it, but it's going to be, like, only in Japanese. And I was like, oh, I was kind of contentious seeing it from the outside. And, oh, we've been to the Ninja Temple of Kanazawa. It would be cool to come back and see, like, I think even if we, like, didn't see it in Japanese, like, saw in Japanese, like, you'd be able to see like the hidden passages and everything, which is pretty neat. But of course, you know, we were already on a time crunch, so we go to the Ninja Temple, we take a couple pictures, and we
meander. Like, the crazy thing about Japan is, on Google Maps or Apple Maps, whichever you're using, there's temples everywhere and shrines everywhere. And you go there, and it's just a random house. Like, someone's probably just living there. And it's a former temple, shrine. Like, it's kind of ridiculous that whole street was filled with temples and shrines, but that was I think the ninja shrine was the only one that was like dedicated to tour or even like take photos. Because we just walk around and we're like, oh, this is a temple shrine, and there's like no one here. It's dead silent, and there's someone like sweeping the grass, and you're shoveling the driveway. And you're like, oh,
and you know, that kind of puts things into perspective, right? Because it's like, you know. And this is kind of an aside note from like being a non-ignorant American for just a second. We'll get back to being stupid Americans, but it's like, our country, realistically speaking, only goes back to the 1500s. Like, because, you know, I say 1500s because, you know, that's when we're found. Like, that's when the first people came. Technically 1400s, if you really want to get semantics, but really started to be colonized 1500s. So buildings in the country, in the U.S., if you go back, the oldest buildings you'll probably find are from the 1500s, 1600s. Like, everywhere else in the world.
Not like Western buildings, because obviously there's still like indigenous stuff, like huts.
Right, like if you go like Mesa Verde, like that, of course, like all that stuff. Really cool, by the way. Side note, Mesa Verde National Park, one of my favorites. Check it out, in Colorado, Four Corners region. Anyway, like, it really just put those show things in perspective, because, like, you know, you walk through, like, Philadelphia, for instance, or Washington, D.C., and you see these buildings that go back to, like, the 1770s, 70s, you're like, oh my god, this is so cool. Like, that's nothing compared to, like, most other countries. Like, most other countries in Europe, Asia, Africa, like, they go back centuries before the United States was even, like, thought of, right? Like, of course, you know, Mesa Verde, buildings are still inhabited. Like, that's the kind of the crazy thing, because, like, you know, we mentioned like Mesa Verde, which also is old and like Native American architecture, but like, it's abandoned. Like, these buildings are like have been inhabited, and I don't know, it blows my mind that you have buildings that are like literally hundreds of years older than the United States. You know,
Yeah.
possibly even thousands of years older.
Yeah.
It's really cool. A side note, but yeah, it's like Braden's mentioning. You see all these cool temples and shrines that are just now houses that have been converted to like houses. You're like,
Yeah.
what? That's
Yeah.
so cool, right? Yeah, but so I mean, speaking of like old things that were converted, next up on our list after the Ninja Temple was the Nagamachi district, which was
Yeah,
the old
the
samurai
district,
district
yeah.
of Kanazawa, right?
Yeah.
And of course, it's like this combination, like shopping and like residential area, which is kind of interesting, where it's like
Yeah.
you're walking through like a neighborhood with shops in it. So it's like people live in these like old samurai houses, but there's also like shops. And one shop in particular like comes to mind.
Yeah, there was this hut, kind of, I guess you would describe it, and kind of, you're just walking the main street, and there's like a little sign about like Hawaiian hot dogs, and I mean, we knew because honestly, our level of preparation is search on Google, check Reddit or some like Japan tour guides like post, read for like 30 minutes in the morning, and then take notes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I found some random Redditors saying like, oh yeah, by the way, there's this random Hawaiian hut in the middle of the samurai like district that had pretty good hot dogs. So we were
Really
like,
good.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we see the sign for the hot dogs, and we walk down this like alleyway within the samurai district with all these different residential buildings now. And yeah, luckily the place was still open. I think it was like 10 minutes before it closed.
10 minutes, and he was like, we weren't allowed to eat inside.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
we're
like,
looking at the
we
menu,
knew
figuring out what we
like,
want to
fuck.
get. But we get the Kanazawa dog, which I think was just like
Curry
spinach.
cabbage. It was
Curry
cabbage,
cabbage,
with, like, the
yeah.
hot dog. Yeah.
Yeah, it was curry cabbage and a hot dog, and pretty solid.
It was really good.
And the vibe was really cool. They were
Yeah.
playing some kind of like, you know, stoner Hawaiian type
Right,
music
you know,
in there,
like-
like beachy vibe.
Yeah. And
It was a really cool place. They had a ton of like stickers and stuff.
yeah.
I feel like they were like the White Sox or something. They had some
Yeah,
random
they have, like
American
the Cubs
teams.
and like the White Sox, which I mean,
Yeah.
one of those teams I'm okay with. Go like White Sox, let's go. You know, you guys deserve all the credit. The Cubs though, boo.
Yeah.
I'm a Cardinals. We'll
Yeah.
get back to that. There was something funny
Yeah.
about the Cardinals, but you know, Cubs. I was like, oh, am I giving my money to a business that supports the Cubs?
And I will mention this because if you go to any of these places relatively soon, you might see an L plus D
L
Or
plus
L-
B.
or L plus B. I'm fucking drunk as shit. I'm so fucking sorry. I'm Liam Desai. Like L plus D.
L plus B.
What am I doing? L plus B, like
Right.
25, or I'll just
Yeah,
L plus B. Because we've left our mark, at least
Right.
at that place,
We
and
did.
also at the sushi place, Current Sushi.
Yeah, we like
we put
wrote
a sticky
no,
notes.
right.
They have a ton of sticky notes on
Yeah,
the wall. I almost later, I mean, we'll get to it today. I almost wrote in a bamboo tree that already had initials on
Right.
it, was already screwed over.
Already.
Williams,
Yeah. Leave no trace. You know, the outdoors man's. Leave nothing but footprints, take nothing but pictures, make nothing but memories.
And he's right, so we didn't do it.
We'll get back to that though.
Yeah, but yes. Anyways, this place, Kado, pretty solid.
It's called Street Vendor Hot Dogs in Kanazawa,
Yeah.
in Nagamachi district. Good.
Pretty good.
Good lemonade.
The
Okay, mango juice.
mango
Mangoes were a
juice,
little bit unripe.
yeah.
I'm spoiled. We have the Alfonso mangoes in India.
Yeah.
Excellent. You know, those are like the USDA grade A, not USDA, but like the grade A mangoes, like
Yeah.
Alfonso mango. Like, so mangoes are probably out of season here as well, so a little bit unripe, which is what
Yeah.
I've noticed.
Wasn't great.
Yeah,
It
like
was-
mangoes super sweet. You know, they weren't whatever. Chalk it up to being unripe and out of
Yeah.
season.
So didn't we just like from there we kind of just walked back home and
Yeah,
check? There were a couple temples on the way.
a couple
but-
temples. We saw the Jigger Bar, St. Louis, which
Oh, yeah.
I thought was cool. You know, you don't hear St. Louis mentioned much, especially abroad. So, you know, the hometown represent. By the way, in case there's anybody who is subscribed to this channel who doesn't know me, I am from the St. Louis area originally. So, you know, seeing St. Louis represented abroad makes me happy.
Yeah.
We saw more temples in the walk back home.
Got back.
Decided to get gelato.
Gelato. Yeah.
Which was interesting. It was a fusion between, you know, Japanese flavors and the gelato. So I got the soy sauce chocolate and miso walnut caramel, which
And then-
I thought were pretty good.
I got like I think it was like blueberry fruit and then the like strawberry
Yeah.
ish one.
And I think yours also had like a twist on them as well, like
yeah,
flavor wise.
yeah.
Solid gelato.
Pretty good.
Good stuff. I mean, then that kind of concluded our time in Kanazawa. And Kanazawa on a high note, I would say. And the next day, we were adventuring. We took the Snowpiercer.
We did.
We took the train through the snowy mountains, and that was on the way to Takayama. And to start the day, we had, which is becoming a common staple on this trip, we had a 7-Eleven breakfast.
7-Eleven breakfast, that's right.
Good stuff. We had this peach drink that, we really liked. I don't know what it was, but it was
So
delicious.
Good. So good. And we've seen a couple other people have it. Like
local,
the locals, they know what's up.
It's good.
We were like, oh, buddy, this is,
Oh, yeah. So look out for it. Like that 7-Eleven. It has a peach on the bottle.
In general,
so,
if you see something with a peach on it, it's
really
probably good, but especially the drink,
we also have these little chocolate mushroom cookie things. Super
Also
solid.
great.
I think we can get them in the U.S.
It reminded me of Kit Kats.
Yeah, you said Kit Kats. I've had similar chocolate cookies before, so I like. But yeah, it was good. Like it was solid. Both had a pastry.
Yeah.
And then we had something very divisive.
Oh yeah.
We had roasted chestnuts. I really liked them. They reminded me of boiled peanuts, which I really like. This guy hated them.
Oh, it was awful.
He was
awful. I mean, first of all, I've had boiled peanuts before. I didn't like them at all. Because I was in Georgia. Did not like it. I'm a texture guy. Awful texture.
Can be bad.
Awful texture. Like, these chestnuts were awful, in my opinion. The worst thing I've had this entire trip. Worse than the United flight.
Interesting.
I almost wanted to spit it out. It was so bad. It felt like I was eating like if my sock was soaked in water and then left overnight and was I don't even know, if it was edible somehow, it felt like I was eating an edible sock. It was awful. I hated it so much. I hate everything about it. But luckily I had also a little squeeze packet of banana.
That's right.
And it had chunks of banana. It was so strange. I was kind of in love, I was confused, but also in love with it. Because I'm like, this is kind of great. So I got halfway through it, and I was like, let me just finish this thing.
Yeah.
I just
on the train,
this looks
right?
really sus. I'm just sucking up this banana packet, and it was really good. It was really good.
Yeah, and I had the exact opposite reaction to the chestnuts. I was like, oh, these are really good. I really like them. So really divisive. I mean, I know boiled peanuts are also divisive. I like boiled peanuts, so it kind of explains why I like chestnuts. Looked it up online afterwards, and it was great song, 11 months away. I mean, technically we're 1 month away from Christmas, so I mean, it checks out.
We've been singing that.
We have
that the whole day. That was in our heads.
Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed the chestnut. But so we after this, we're training, we're enjoying the beautiful scenery through the mountains.
Snowing.
I say Snowpiercer, it's it's snowing. The mountains are really pretty. It's all snowy. There's these deep river gorges that go. The snow is there, thick snow. Just really enjoyable train ride. Probably some of the one of the prettiest train rides I've been on in my life. And we get to Takayama.
Yeah.
Eventually, yeah, and get off the train or on the train. I realized, crap. Lost one of my gloves.
I just don't know how this stuff happened.
I don't either. I don't either. I wish I knew. I'll cut a long story short. Lost one of my gloves. We stop at a Japanese outdoor store, sportswear store. I get a new pair of gloves. It's fine, no big deal. But I just lose things. I'm clumsy. I'm a klutz. That's just how it goes.
Yeah. But anyways, we walked 45 minutes or something just
that.
in the opposite direction. Because basically when you get into Takayama, there's one direction to go.
Right.
And the direction to go is towards the old town, which has all these sake breweries. It has temples, shrines, all these historical areas. We go the opposite direction and we start walking
intentionally.
By the way.
Yeah,
this was not a mistake. Towards this museum, and we're very much exploring kind of the I guess the non-tourist area of Takayama, the local area of Takayama, because there was literally a group of kindergartners or whatever, led by their teacher, just walking through the town while it's snowing. It's a little icy out.
It's kind of cute. Yeah,
it was very cute. And we're just these random not locals, but random tourists walking through this local area, And eventually, I remember I pick up some snow. I mean, snow is perfect.
It's perfect, like ball snow.
Yeah,
like it's
perfect
like,
snowballs.
it's
So
the wet,
I
thick
just
stuff.
I just was like, hey Liam, and I just pegged him with a snowball. You got one back just in case.
I did,
just
yeah.
to make it even.
And we had a couple duels with snowballs. None of us, our aims weren't good. My aim was slightly better.
One of us eventually won.
That's
one
true.
Of our
That's
snowballs,
true.
Which we'll get to
at the
eventually.
night.
But yes, we walk like. After stopping at the store, it probably was about an hour or so.
Yeah.
A mile, well, two miles.
2 or 3 miles, yeah.
2-3 miles just completely out of the way to visit this museum. And I'll let you pick up from there.
Oh, yeah. And then I didn't know what I was expecting. Braden kind of planned, like, Takayama Day. Like, we were going to go to Nagoya and, like, a side note. Yeah. All we'll say about Nagoya for now. But, like, good thing we didn't spend more time in Nagoya and we went to Takayama. So, like, I let Braden plan the entire Takayama Day. And he's like, oh, there's this cool museum here. I was like, oh, it's kind of out of the way. But, like, I'm like, whatever. I'm down to walk.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad we went to this museum because apparently Takayama is famous for this festival they have in the spring and the fall.
Yes.
And they have these magnificent floats that are just gorgeous. They're handcrafted, they're handmade, and this museum is dedicated to the Takayama festival. And on display there, they have several of these handmade floats, and these things are massive and they're impressive. They're beautiful, and they have these marionette shows as well.
Yes, I think the funniest part of this is that we show up. You pay the ticket, and there's this like long hallway of these like small little like floats, like in glass.
They're like model, like,
probably 10 foot by like 4 foot, or whatever. And we're like, oh my god, wow, these floats are so pretty. They're so cool. I don't know about you. I thought those were the floats.
I did too.
I thought those. I'm looking through my handbook. I'm like, oh, okay, this must be this float.
And I was
doesn't
like,
match up exactly.
Yeah.
And then we walk in because we're in a tunnel, like under a mountain.
The museum's really cool. It's literally like a tunnel, like and it's like it opens up like I'll let you. But
And then we get to this massive room with these massive floats. Like they are. What, like 30 feet by
30 or 40 feet tall.
Yeah, by like 20. Like it's actually like gobsmacking. I was just like,
insane.
Oh, these are the actual floats.
And they're all beautiful. They're all handcrafted. Like people spend years building these floats, right?
Yeah, 2-3 years at least.
It's magnificent, and it's a great piece of culture that I did not know about. Like Braden mentions this museum, and I'm a museum guy, and I was like, oh, it's so far out of the way. Like, it's a walk, it's a trek to get there through the snow, but so worth it.
Yeah.
And like beautiful, just absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
And then the puppet displays were there. Like they have these like puppets that they're like animatronics, they're pneumatically operated.
Yeah.
Super cool. They do different things, and I think we watched all of them.
Yeah, because each float operated at a certain time on the hour.
Yeah, it was like 10-minute intervals.
Yeah, so we ended up staying for about a little bit over an hour. To watch the floats and also just like walk up there. But lots of really cool ones. Additionally, like the largest drums.
Yes.
Drums in like all of Japan. And one of them, like, I don't know if that one was, but you can bang on one of them.
Oh, so much fun.
Oh, it's so fun.
It's like bang.
It's literally like, it's 30 feet.
Yeah,
probably.
It's something like that.
Like tall.
It's massive.
Massive drum. And you can just, boom.
They encourage you. They have a sign that says,
so...
like, feel free to, like, tap the drum or whatever. We definitely did that a couple of times. But magnificent museum. If you're ever in Takayama, check out the Takayama Festival Museum. That's our recommendation. Beautiful piece of culture, beautiful piece of history that I did not know about, and it's like it's great.
And ideally, this other thing, like I mean, we're already talking about when we come back. Coming to Takayama for one of those festivals, I can only imagine. I mean, I know that's like a big thing in Takayama. It's one of the big drawing points. Those festivals. So there's one in the spring and the fall. So whichever time you're coming here, maybe try to plan around that because wow. The museum itself was incredible. Just to see all of those or similar ones through the streets of Takayama, which are kind of small. They even mentioned on one of, like some of the wheels are made for the small streets and stuff like that. Like
it's all perfectly engineered, and it's like that's one thing I'm in awe of. Just in general, Japan is like, again, you have Tokyo. Going back to Tokyo a little bit. 41 million people live in the Tokyo Yokohama metropolitan area, right? It is the cleanest city. It smells good. It moves. It's efficient. I'm just like everybody who lives in a city, whether it's New York, Chicago, LA, Atlanta, they know that big city smell. Like it's just the smell that big cities have. Tokyo does not have that smell.
It smells great.
It does. Public transit smells great. It's clean. That's a side note. Like it just works. And I'm in awe of it because, again, I wish we would do that. I wish we would take a lesson from Japan.
I think
and
as
the
much
United
as we
States.
complain about it, the lack of trash cans might be a part of it.
It could be like it's also cultural. Like people here like look out for themselves. They look out. They take pride in themselves. They take pride in their communities. They take pride in like others around them, helping others, and making the environment clean and nice and neat is something that's valued here, which I wish was the same in the United States. Anyway, we could sit here and say all the things we wish were different about the United States, and we'd have a whole freaking like 10 episodes. So
we then go to all the way back to the old town.
Well, we had mochi first.
Yeah, I mean,
Which,
I don't know how much we want to talk about
We
it.
could just mention
There
it.
was a stop there was like a store,
A little
restaurant
market,
next door. We
mochi.
got a variety pack of mochi. It was pretty good.
Matcha and the lemon flavored one. I think it was matcha flavored.
Yeah, matcha.
The lemon
for
were my favorite, and it's actually ironic. We'll get back to the matcha point
We will
later.
get back to matcha.
But good stuff. Like it was. I mean, those two were the best ones.
Yeah.
The other ones were okay, but
So
mochi, Japanese mochi, we can check off our list.
So we trekked basically the same distance all the way back to the old town to go to the sake breweries, because basically the town used to be known, it used to have like 300 plus sake breweries like 400 years ago or so. And interestingly enough, rice was a big currency in Japan back in the day. So it's at least in that town specifically.
Yeah.
And when rice wasn't doing so great on the market, they would then convert it to sake. And eventually there became about 300 local breweries. Now there's only about 7 left. There's 7 left in the old town. Each, advertising their own way. But the one we went to, I don't remember the name of it. But basically you'd spend 200 yen, and the 200 yen would give you a little sake.
Yeah, you have it.
We have it. Where are they? Okay, here we go.
Right here.
It would give you a little sake glass and 1 coin, and 100 yen would give you a coin.
And for those of you who don't know, 100 yen is like 2/3 of a dollar.
Currently,
Right?
currently.
Like right now, the dollar is strong, the yen is weak.
So like 60, 70 cents basically. Right. And with each token, you could spend it on different type of sake that you could put under under a dispenser, press the button, and get approximately a shot.
Yeah.
So there are lots of different sakes. They had some for like seasonal, so
like the holiday ones, right?
Yeah, so it was
Christmas
winter.
ones,
It was winter. Well,
I say Christmas is like winter, right?
Yeah,
my
was
bad.
it was seasonal.
This is me being a little bit drunk right now.
Yes, it was. They had seasonal ones for winter, which I think we had 3 of those, and then there were just a random, standard selection of those, and we sampled quite a bit. We put in, I think, for 1,000 yen, we got 13 tokens, and then we each got 2. So we had about 7.5 shots of sake, something like that.
It's good stuff.
It was some great stuff.
We
were feeling excellent, and that's the other thing. For what, like 1,400 yen?
Right.
Which is the equivalent of like $10.
Less than
$10. So across us two, we were able to sample a ton of different great sake of different, sweetnesses and what was it like?
Full body versus light body.
Full body versus light body.
They have like everything there.
Yeah, everything. And we were feeling great.
Oh, it was good.
Oh, it was some great sake. Really excellent sake.
Yeah, it was.
And from there, we were able to do a little bit of hiking, which was also in the itinerary.
Well, we did do the hiking, but before we did the hiking, we got we had probably one of the, I think maybe it was just our drunken state, or maybe this was just like the universe telling us that we need to do this.
I think it's the former. I'll be honest, but it was
really good. We had a cheesy beef bun from just a street vendor there, and we probably paid too much for it. I think we paid like 550 yen for it.
It was like 550 yen each or something.
Both had one. Oh my gosh, this thing was like
heaven,
it was heaven.
man.
It was literally like delicious, and it was
So
awesome.
good.
We also then found like cheese balls after that, which were also pretty good.
Pretty good.
Like I think it was just like the drunken state. I think that the beef bun was good, but like just the drunken state. Like, the tips. We weren't drunk. We were tipsy. The tipsy state just elevated it, where it's just like, this is good. So like, excellent. Like great experience so far in Takayama. But then we started hiking around the various, the Takayama. walking trail.
Walking
basically.
trail. Yeah. So there's a main temple where you walk up a lot of steps. There's a main temple. And actually, we saw there's like a cemetery nearby, very pretty cemetery.
Oh, it was.
That's a common thing. There's a lot of very pretty cemeteries
yeah.
here in Japan, which we got a view of. But yes, there was a walking trail, which was also in the itinerary, which I had screenshots. Okay, this is what it is. Easier said than done to follow the walking trail.
Yeah.
It said it was about 3 kilometers. You just kind of just go through this. But the signs were here nor there.
And we also had to contend with the fact that... So, before I go into this, Braden and I are both pretty fit, pretty stout, young men. Yeah. We're healthy, we're fit. Like, we're not, like, out of shape.
Yeah.
So 3 kilometers for us is, like, nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
We didn't contend for the fact that there would be snow and ice.
And the sun would be setting.
Yeah,
because at this point it's at like 4:30.
Right.
And sun sets at like 4:45, basically.
We're so far north. Like, Japan's really far north. If you look on like a globe, it's up there, right?
So we are
winter.
meandering our way through the streets of Takayama because we're getting lost because there's multiple different trails. I mean, there's a circular trail, which got us a little bit confused. We got ourselves on the circular trail for a little bit, but then we found our ways back to the walking trail. We eventually were like good to go, and towards the end of the path that we took is this castle trail, which interestingly enough, when you look up the walking trail, it takes you in a circle with the castle in the middle. It doesn't take you to the castle ruins.
Right.
It just takes you around it. Which, sure, it has temples and, it's probably really cool. But, if we're going to a castle ruins park, we're going to the castle ruins. And at this point, the sun is set.
It's
gone. It's
done so. Like, we're in the dark.
And it's snow and ice. I'm slipping.
If you've seen the Instagram, it was kind of winter. Like, I was being a little bit facetious. I was like, winter mountaineering. Like, no, it was icy. The trail was icy. It was snowy. Like,
there were signs that were Japanese, but also English. But still,
it.
What difference does Namori versus Qatar, I can know the difference, but at this point it's like easier said than done to navigate in the pitch black dark up a snowy hill.
And of course, because for me, uphill hike, I'm at home, I'm like, oh boy, this is great, like woohoo. So like I'm just zooming up, right? Like snow or no snow, like I'm on an uphill incline trail. And Braden's slipping all over the place. And pineapple guava became like big. On the way down anyway. It was like we came up with code words. We won't get into that, but like
code words for if I break my leg, basically, if I'm too far behind because he's going too quick.
Carry this guy out of the freaking park. So we get up there and like it's pretty dark, very pretty. The snow is still falling, but like also like you have to get down. And luckily my shoe has like a Nike swish on it, which is really nice.
Hey, we're forgetting a very important part.
The duel.
Oh, we
I wanted
had
to forget that.
Snowball fight duels throughout the day where we back to back, 5 paces, turn around, throw.
Very southern, we both went to school in the South, so
exactly. And we had a lot of stalemates for sure.
Right.
But we had one final bout at that castle ruins, and I hit him with the classic, bang, and he caught it, but too bad. Boom.
Dunzo.
So
it was a real duel.
I won the war. I got his ass.
Yeah. I wanted to leave him behind on the mountain. That's why I zoomed down after that.
Pineapple.
But like guava. But the Japanese authorities find you. Guava.
But yes, we made our way back down, which we had a little bit of a debate on because the sign said go one way, but your Nike shoes said otherwise.
I was able to using the amount of time I've spent in the mountains, which this is unironic, is a lot. I was able to look at the tread on my shoe and be like, oh, there's a Nike swish on it. Yeah. So I was able to backtrack and be like, okay, these footprints look correct. Guys, it was actually wilderness tracking. I was actually proud. We were not in a wilderness area, but I was.
No one else was at that part.
It was pretty rural, and it was I was happy that my outdoor skills could actually come in handy on this trip because that's the one thing I'm good at is outdoor stuff.
Yeah. Like, we were gonna survive,
It was
but
fine, I
no,
know, like-
like, we hadn't seen a single person
Right.
or light source
It was-
in 30
yeah.
minutes. We were just in the middle of a random park in
Right.
Takayama, and mind you, we had a bus to make. Train, sorry.
Or we don't take buses. We don't talk about buses.
We don't talk about.
There's a whole.
We had a train to make.
This episode's running long. I'll tell you about my bus story in a future episode.
Yes.
Why I don't trust buses.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it in the last episode
Was
as
it?
well.
Okay.
But anyways,
That's right.
Yeah, you talked about it. Don't worry.
Anyway, yeah, you
Not
know
for
what I think
G,
about buses.
but-
yeah.
yes, we had a train to catch as well. So we were very much like, okay, let's head out. Let's
Right.
not do the entire trail here.
Yeah.
Screw this Takayama walking trail.
Right,
It is
and-
not happening. We made our way down the same way we went up.
And we get back to the station.
Yeah.
We have some nice beef chips, which we won't talk
Yes.
about. They were good.
Pretty good.
You know, unique, whatever. And
Hop on
we,
the train.
We trained to a place that, you know, was wonderful.
Beautiful. You know,
Tourist-
screw Kyoto, screw Tokyo,
Screw
Takayama,
Kanazawa.
screw Kanazawa. You guys got to go to Nagoya. It is the Detroit of Tokyo, of Japan.
I mean, we say that, and you know, it's like Detroit definitely has a reputation, but we say Nagoya is the Detroit of Japan because of the auto industry here.
And because it's a place that no one wants to go to.
Right, like it's not very touristy. Two big companies are actually like headquartered in Nagoya. One of them is Mitsubishi, and the other one is one that you all know and love, and that's Toyota, which, you know, is an iconic car brand. Like, everybody knows Toyota, so
Uh-huh.
Toyota's from Nagoya. So,
Yeah.
you know, that hence the reference to Detroit with GM, Chrysler, you know,
Yes.
everything.
But also, like, when in Detroit, like, leave type stuff. Like,
right, don't
like can't have shit in Detroit. Well, we couldn't have shit in Nagoya. I
Right,
mean,
and-
we get into Nagoya,
and
and Liam's like, "Okay, Braden, we're in Nagoya. What are we supposed to do?" And I'm like, "Great question." I mean, I describe this place as, you know, oh, it's
Yeah,
pretty.
yeah.
And, you know, kind of like when you have nothing great to say, but, you know, oh, this, you know, oh, your daughter, oh, wow, she's pretty. Like, you know, she's kind of like, you know, gets C's in her classes and doesn't really know what she's doing after college or high school,
Right.
but she's, you know, cute-ish. Like, oh, she's pretty. That's Nagoya. And people are like, why are people crapping on Nagoya? It's literally the black sheep of Japan. Why are people crapping on Nagoya? Well, why are they crapping? Because it's ugly. Because the food there is there's
nothing convenient open late at night, or
No.
not even like
That's
9
all
o'clock.
of Japan, to be
right
fair.
to be like,
But-
well, in Tokyo there was like
I
things
guess, but
open,
like, I mean,
like-
the best food there is food from different countries, which we're going to be
Right.
traveling to, so we wanted to avoid
like,
it.
You know, India was like, well, we're going to India in
Yeah.
like a few weeks.
And
Like,
there was a random Brazilian one that like seemed like it was actually going to be packed, so
But,
we
you
didn't go.
and
We
it seemed
could've-
good, which was the problem for us because if
Yeah.
it's good, it means it requires reservation.
Yeah.
Which usually means one of two things: one, you have to have phones at work, and two, you have to speak Japanese.
Or you have to call them, which we can't do.
Which is what I'm saying. The phones
yeah,
don't work.
no,
right?
it's
yeah,
awful.
So-
It's, you're like email. And the websites are all in Japanese half the time, so I can't even understand what anything's saying. So it was just like, do we walk there and
Lord.
find out that?
So-
So we ended up having a classic Nagoya meal, which was a Family Mart. Which Family Mart is one of like the three major, I guess, like convenience stores.
Yeah.
There's obviously 7-Eleven. There's Family Mart, and I'm blanking on the other one. It's like
Lawson's.
Lawson's.
Yeah, we haven't gone to Lawson's.
We
yet.
haven't gone to Lawson's.
We have thoughts about 7-Eleven and Family Mart.
Yes, but we got a Family Mart. We each got the chicken, like the chiki or something.
yeah,
like the
I got like
famichiki is what I got.
I got like the spicy.
You got the spicy version.
because you know I can handle my spice.
Yeah, and we were told on Reddit to get these
maple syrup
pancake buns, which we got something similar to that. And then we also got yogurt, fruit flavored yogurt, and then a pastry.
and we got the peach tree.
We got the exact same pastry,
and
we got the
peach trees, 'cause
pastry.
we needed some type of comfort. We're like,
Oh, so good.
you know, we were struggling a little bit.
Yeah.
We're like, after the hike in Takayama, like, the walk to Takayama, I was like, I wanted like ramen. I was craving ramen. I was hoping there was gonna be like an Ichiran or something. No such luck. Like, you know,
in Ichiran in Nagoya, can't have shit in Nagoya. No chance.
Nagoya. So you know, we get like this Family Mart dinner,
Yeah.
and you know, it's okay. it does the job.
It did the job for sure.
Like so,
we will preface this as like we are spoiled.
Oh,
the food here in Japan is excellent.
Excellent.
So
cheap. Like
so
most of it's cheap.
Even this Family Mart, like we gave like a 7 out of 10. Like, trust me, no way in hell I'm walking into a gas station unless if it's Wawa, okay?
Or Buc-ee's.
Wawa, or
Buc-ee's would be like.
Or Buc-ee's,
would
sure.
be good.
But like outside of Wawa and Buc-ee's, like I'm not walking to a random like convenience store and getting a dinner.
Yeah.
And thinking it's gonna be above average.
No.
But they consistently above average.
It's good.
It's good food.
It's really good.
It's
food.
pretty, really good. We've had really good food. It's great. It's solid. It's like 7 out of 10.
Great's above really good.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
it's really good. Great. It's just
like,
below great.
It's no like you said we have really good food in Japan. Like it comes in nice. Like it's something where it's like you don't necessarily like set out to have it, but it's like convenience store food. It's always there. It's always like decent quality.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, solid.
I would not do that. Like Brayden said, you go into a 7-Eleven in the United States, like, oh, you're gonna get food poisoning.
Oh, for
like,
sure.
It's gonna be bad.
Yeah.
Like it's it's gonna be in for a rough time. I've seen those 7-Elevens in the United States with like the corn dogs. Ooh, rough.
Yeah.
Who knows how long they've been sitting out? That's not the case in Japan. Like it still doesn't look like the most appetizing, but it's like decent. Like it's actually fine. And that was pretty much in Nagoya. Like the night, like we went to bed, and then the next day we woke up, and this is where the jeans story comes in, because so
we got up and we were like, we gotta get the hell out of here.
Yeah, because like we were like, it was late, and like our checkout Airbnb was like 10. It was like 9:30, and we're like, that's not great.
And I'm like, hey Liam, how are the clothes going?
Right, because like for reference, like we washed a bunch of clothes, and like a lot of dryers
in Kanazawa.
Yeah.
And they're still not dry.
The jeans aren't dry.
Drying these things.
People will know. They'll know. But like, if you've ever washed jeans, you know how much of a pain they can be to dry. Especially like, drying here in Japan, it's in the bathroom. It's really cool. It's like, this is one of those Japanese appliances I reference. Like, you kind of hang up your clothes in the bathroom and you turn it on and it like dries, and it's really nice.
Yeah. Jeans,
of course, are thick. Like, it's crappy and all that stuff. So like, we've been trying to dry these jeans for like 2 days. And we wake up and they're still wet. They're not like, no, it's Shrek's swamp, because not only are they wet, they smell.
Oh god.
They have mildewed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I mean, these things have been in our suitcases. They've been damp. They've been wet. Like
are these the jeans in question that we're wearing?
And I'll get to that. Like these are the jeans. I am wearing these are the jeans, swamp ass jeans that we had. So I mean, like, it's not great. Like, we're just like, oh, okay, well, there's nothing else. We have to go, so we stuff it in our suitcase, and that's kind of it. But like, jeans, I love jeans. They're a pain in the ass without a dryer to dry.
Yeah. So basically, we wanted to get to Kyoto ASAP, and we were told by the Airbnb host that even though the check-in's at 4, reasonably, we can get in at 2 and probably be fine. So what do we do in Nagoya in the meantime? I mean, there's a ton of different museums. Like, you go to like Mitsubishi or Toyota.
There are things to do in Nagoya.
There's a couple things to do in Nagoya, and a lot of it was like gardens and like hikes and stuff. But meanwhile, we have our luggage on us, and obviously gardens, doesn't really bode well in January.
Right.
So the main thing that some people on Reddit said to avoid was the castle.
They're haters.
They're haters.
I think they're haters.
The Nagoya castle is pretty cool.
We see the Nagoya castle, big old, castle. Did it burn down?
Oh yeah, when in doubt, it did. It burnt down. Yeah.
I think Nagoya was also bombed during World War II.
Oh yeah,
so most major cities in Japan were bombed. Like Tokyo, of course. Nagoya. I think Osaka was bombed. Of course.
I think Hiroshima was bombed.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Really? That one too?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we're going to Hiroshima.
We're going to do our due diligence, pay respects to Hiroshima. But, Kyoto was not actually bombed which is where we're at. This is the whole thing about Kyoto, which, But yeah, so of course, 1945 comes around, Nagoya Castle.
Wiped out.
Damaged.
Yeah,
at least damaged, wiped out, common trend among a lot of things,
So, I mean, half the stuff we were seeing were just recreations.
Which is, it's still, it's cool because it's still, done with, traditional style. It's there's something cool about that because it adds, the history of it, in my opinion. It's not cool that it burned down, but it's, it shows human resiliency and human spirit
Yeah.
with like in rebuilding it the traditional way.
I mean, because to be fair, even when we were in Takayama or Kanazawa, for instance, like they say, oh yeah, burnt down in 1690, and they built it again, and then burnt down in 1850, and then they built it again. So it's not like it's anything different.
Right.
They keep burning down and building them again. So
like,
us rebuilding it in the 21st century, that's just what happens. In the 22nd or 23rd century, shit, it might burn down, it might get bombed, and then they're gonna build another one. Like, it's just how it works. So,
which is good. I guess I think it does show the spirit of humans and like resiliency and perseverance and everything. But yeah, Kanazawa, not Kanazawa, Nagoya Castle, worth the visit. I think it was really cool.
yeah.
Well, then we get lunch at Nagoya Station.
Yeah, because we were trying to find food on the way there.
And
Everything was in Japanese.
It was closed, and it
and
was just, which is also a problem where things are like operate on weird hours here.
Oh yeah,
and
it's strange.
Google Maps is not the most reliable as we found, but
it's
again,
really strange. But we got food at the castle or the train station.
It was
pretty solid.
Not bad.
Pastries. So we got the strawberry pastries. One that had cream in it, and the other one didn't. One that was the one that didn't have like chocolate chips or vanilla chocolate chips.
Yeah, yours was
for
really
the
good.
Shinkansen.
Yeah,
or the bullet train, and oh my god,
really good.
That freaking cream filled pastry was so good. It was I think at like 9.5. I know the one that you started off with, which was the vanilla chocolate chip or like white chocolate.
Dry.
A little dry, but it's still
it was
like
still good. It was solid.
7.5. Like it was still a solid ass pastry, but man, those are great to tide us over. That with the meal, which was pretty solid, was good enough to tide us over on our way from Nagoya to Kyoto. And when we get into Kyoto, here's the thing: we're on the train, and I'm like, "Hey, Liam, do you have the directions from the train station? Because we don't have cellular data. We're just using Wi-Fi."
Right. Oh
I'm like, "Hey, do you have directions to the Airbnb?" And the night before, I mean, I'm taking screenshots everywhere. I'm like, okay, like when we're in Takayama, I'm like, I got screenshots on how to get here, how to get here, how to get. And the day before, I'm completely planning it out. Even in the morning, like I'm planning this stuff out. I'm taking screenshots so we know what we're doing. And I'm like, "Hey, Liam, double checking. Do we have directions from the not the Kyoto station, but like the station that we get to our Airbnb?" And the night before, I asked him like, "Hey, this place that's named exactly the same as the Airbnb we're staying at, is that close to the Airbnb we're staying at? Because I'm not seeing it." And you're like,
a little bit of
and
direction.
Liam's just like, "Oh yeah," and I'm like, "Oh, awesome." So I put that in my thing. I take a screenshot. We get out of the train station. We head to this like police station that's named exactly after the Airbnb.
The government building, right?
Yeah, government building.
And I'm like, I don't think this is right.
And I'm like, "Hey, we're almost here." And Liam's like, "Whoa, actually, we're supposed to be near the park." And I'm like, "That's not what you told me. You told me we were right near the government." And now I'm trying really hard not to like be like, "What the fuck? Like, Liam, what is wrong?" I'm so pissed.
And I like this guy is
So
like, he's like,
pissed.
"Well, you said." I'm trying my hardest. I'm like, I know what I said. Like,
We were just on the train with free Wi-Fi.
I felt like Mrs. Incredible.
And
I
he's
know
fucking-
what I said.
he's
Just
busy.
listen to what I'm saying now.
Sorry, we're so fucking loud.
We gotta like.
We were just on the train with free Wi-Fi, and his ass is busy putting random shit on his Instagram stories and watching Instagram reels and all this stupid crap, doing his New York Times crossword. When what he could have been doing was making sure that we were going to get to the right place.
And this guy is bringing this up, and I'm like, dude, I know, I fucked up, okay? Like, I'm sorry. Just stop.
And I'm just like biting my tongue, and I'm like,
he does. To his credit, he does. And I'm just like, in this moment, I'm like problem solving mode. I'm like, I just need to focus on the task at hand, which is getting to our Airbnb, right? Because like this is the thing, and if this guy starts yapping at me, I'm gonna lose my shit because I'm like, I know I fucked up. What do you want me to do? Like, and that's the thing. Like, it's funny because we can both admit when we're wrong. I was wrong on that. I messed this one up. Like, I dropped the ball. I got us lost because it didn't end there. Then we go to like, another freaking place. We go halfway down the street.
he sees a sign that he swears was on the Airbnb.
Like, because the
thing.
Airbnb had like this case, like I won't say it, but like
It
it
looks
had the
nothing
name,
like the actual sign.
but
it
it says the name of the Airbnb, and I'm like, oh, this
did
is
say
it.
the name of the Airbnb. It had a letter
It
that was similar.
Okay, no,
It had it started with the
had
same
one letter
letter.
wrong. It had one letter wrong.
But it started with the same letter.
yeah, and I thought it was the sign, and once again,
We're plugging in the pin, and it's not working.
And I'm like,
Whoa.
And I'm like, all right, let's just go back because there's a coffee shop. Let's get Wi-Fi there.
We did not know that was. We were like, oh, let's go to the train station to hopefully get Wi-Fi, which I don't even know if there was Wi-Fi at the train. But luckily, there was a coffee shop.
We get Wi-Fi at the coffee shop, and find out that the Airbnb is actually further down the street. I'm like, oh, okay, whew. Thank God. I thought I had taken screenshots. Speaking of the screenshots, I thought I had taken screenshots and I did not. Should have double checked. That was my bad. Like this Airbnb debacle of us getting lost in Kyoto was my fault. Like it was most definitely my fault.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but it's also just now looking back on it a day later, it's just like, oh my God, it's such a fucking stupid story. We're going to the government building. We're going to the wrong freaking area. We're at the first place we went to, like this random delivery driver comes up, and we're two white Americans in Japan. Like, of course, Kyoto is a little bit more touristy. Like they like it's fun, but we just look so stupid and out of place, and it's just this like, oh God, like.
I mean, we're not in a super touristy area either. Like we noticed all of the white Americans and just like Europeans, whatever, who are touring here, got off a train stop before us. Because Liam's just trying to book the cheapest Airbnb. Like,
should have been fun. Like,
as he should.
And to be fair, like the Airbnb, like we're in this Airbnb.
We're in a good location.
It's good. Like it's
good, not great, but it's pretty good location.
It's a half-mile walk from the nearest train station.
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
Like,
I mean, we're not in downtown or anything, but it's still pretty good. But yeah, okay. Eventually, we find our way.
We get there and
we get in, drop our stuff, which we're at right now.
We're here right now, and tensions were running a little bit high, so we calmed down a little bit. We're like, hey. I apologize. I'm like, that was stupid on my part. Like, I
also like, I'm sorry for getting upset.
Yeah, it's like, we hug it out. It's like, it's cool. Like, it's fine. It's going to happen on this trip. Like, it's no big deal. But I'm kind of just going to go over, like, the next part of this trip, like, quickly. Because we still have to go through.
So, basically at this point, I mean, we had a lot of things on our list to do in Kyoto, but we didn't know how/when/
common trend.
Yeah, so basically it was like, let's figure what we're going to do. And there was this really cool bamboo forest. It was like 20-minute transit away. And, that was on the list, which unfortunately we didn't go to. Some people, mixed reviews. Some people were like, wow, this is really pretty. And others like, it's really crowded. And actually just the bamboo forest in these other places is like arguably better, whatever. So we ended up determining that night we can go to the market, the Nishiki market in Kyoto, downtown Kyoto. And the next day we just do this gauntlet of temples, temples and shrines, which is today.
And we'll get there.
That was the plan, and we stayed through with it. So we that night went to the Nishiki market, but right before, I can't say how close it is, but the Imperial Palace is quite close to where we live. So we're like, let's just stop there real quick, even though people are like, it's not worth it. Unfortunately, we got there like at 4:15 and it closed at 4:20.
Yeah, and
the guards were not having it. They were not having it.
They wanted to go home to plan.
They wanted to go.
Like,
so we did not get in.
Season,
we did not get in. So we ended up just walking to the Nishiki market, which I didn't realize was like an entire strip. I tried to take us like down to like the location and Apple Maps, and I was like, oh wait, we could have just gone to that road initially. And it was really, really cool.
It was cool.
I mean, typical market, but very touristy.
Yeah.
I think
we reflected that.
Price reflected, but we also hit it kind of at rush hour because I think everyone was kind of, sort of like a fish in a big, like, populated area of the ocean in the sense of like because
sensory overload. Because a lot of sight, sound, smells.
We got there at like 4:50, and the place closed at 6. But a lot of places close at 5 here or 4. So if it wasn't closed, it might be closing soon. So I think a lot of you were like, oh my God, I gotta get to this place before it closes, and we're walking around, and on our first way down, we see
curry beef and curry beef bun. Which is pretty good. It tastes like samosa. I was like, oh, this is really good. Like, of course, and if you don't know what a samosa is, it's like this Indian potato pastry with peas, and it's really good. I love samosas. Like, my dad loves samosas.
Yeah, very solid, very solid.
And then, we go down the strip, we come back, and this was, the next thing we had was,
So on Reddit, so this is back to what I'm saying, I mean, random Reddit post, this woman or man says that when they're in Kyoto, they did this one thing where they like start at the market, they go to all these temples, and in the market they like to stop at this honey place. So I'm like, okay, we gotta find out this honey place. So we go to this honey place. They have a ton of free samples, and it's one of those things. And I know it's a technique of trying to get people to buy stuff. And,
Oh, yeah.
I feel
And
awful. They get you, right? Like,
it
hey,
works.
have this free sample. Oh, have this free sample.
It
Have this free
works.
sample. And you're like, oh, I can't walk out here with nothing.
Right.
That's how they
'Cause
get
it's
you.
really good. Like, by the way, this place is really good.
Really good, really. They were giving us really good, like, honey drinks.
Like honey water. Like,
Honey
I don't
water,
know what it
and
was, but
so
it
good.
was so good.
And I'm like, okay, if you don't want to spend, like, the equivalent of 12 USD on some kind of honey that we're not going to get through by the time we leave here, or ever,
Right.
I don't know. Let's at least get, like, an ice cream.
Yeah.
So we go to the like, outside and go and get the blueberry honey ice cream. It was just vanilla ice cream, but they put this, like, little drizzle on it. And yeah,
Wow.
that
I
was really
think
good.
that's all we can say is wow. Like,
That was really
elixir of the
good.
gods level. Like,
That was really good.
awesome.
That was really good.
Delicious.
That was.
What was the name of that place? Shout them out. Like, I forget what it was.
I'll
but
try to find it. I've been deleting a ton of stuff from my photos, but
I'll talk about some more.
keep
of it,
going.
though.
I'll
Yeah,
try
so
to find.
we keep walking up and down the market, for a little bit, and eventually we find, like, this chicken skewer place, which, apparently chicken skewer is big street food in Kyoto, and we're feeling a little bit adventurous, so we decided to try the plum one, which we feel is kind of a safe option because plums are pretty good,
Yeah.
and the urchin one, which that one's a little bit adventurous
Yeah,
for
for sure.
both of us, and I think the urchin one, that was the first thing I did not like on this trip. Nothing against urchins. If you like urchins, that's cool. Like, I respect that. Like, respect you a lot for that because, like, I did not like the taste, did not like the texture. Just not my cup of tea. Glad I tried it, but
Yeah.
not my thing. I think you were in a pretty similar boat. We did not end up finishing that urchin.
It was interesting. I'm a texture person. I didn't love the texture.
Mm-mm.
The aftertaste was not great, and
No, it was
even the taste
very
itself
fishy.
wasn't anything. It was kind of bland, which, like, arguably is, I mean, it's not the worst thing, but if it's a bland taste with not great texture and not great aftertaste, it's just kind of like it almost feels worse than it actually is.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't awful.
No, it was bad.
But
Like, if
it
you
made
liked
me-
urchin, it would be.
I
good.
felt like it was awful because of how bland and
Yeah.
nothing it was.
And
Then I'm
then
like,
just
ew.
strong aftertaste.
The
Like,
aftertaste, I'm like,
it
ew.
had a fishy aftertaste, and I'm not a huge fan of the
Mm.
fishy flavors. Like, urchin was not my favorite,
Yeah.
but no. And then the plum one was interesting.
It was like sour.
Yeah, sour plum,
It
which
was-
makes sense. It was like pickled plum or something. I'm sure it was like pickled plum.
It was good. It was good.
It
It wasn't my
was-
first choice
yeah.
for something to throw on a chicken skewer.
I'm glad we
if,
tried it, though.
yeah, if we wanted to be basic Americans, we could have just gone the teriyaki.
Right.
But I was like, let's try the plum, and you obviously want to try the sea urchin. And
Yeah.
you live and you learn.
You do.
Sometimes you like things that you try, sometimes you don't. We'll get to that for today.
We
but
for sure will.
it was Sugi, SUGI, honey.
Okay. Sushi honey.
Sugi Honey
Sugi
House,
honey.
or whatever.
Try them if you're in Kyoto.
Very, very good.
Really good.
Very good at the market. So yeah, basically, we had that and walked around. Eventually, walked back home.
Yeah,
Chilled the night away, and
Well,
we did India visa stuff.
That was a whole freaking thing, and
whole debacle.
I could say a lot. I technically have the permanent India visa. It's an OCI card, but it's back at home because I won't get into the details
Well,
of this. But I need more information
Yeah.
that my mom had to send me to fill out my application for, like, a new visa. This guy does not, like, it should not have been hard for him, but of course, like, the Indian bureaucracy is crazy. It's miserable. It just
And we're
awful.
we're probably like an hour into this video.
Yeah,
It's been
so,
a
like-
long ass time. But I will say, just segueing into food that is worth trying, maybe, but didn't bode well. We had this awesome plan to get
Oh.
an acai bowl in Inari, because we were
Right.
gonna go to the Inari shrine /
Right.
temple. Sorry, I don't.
Which is like the 1,000 Gates. Like, if you know
1,000
about the
Gates.
Inari
Super
temple, it's like,
beautiful.
yeah, it's awesome.
And-
Awesome hike up the mountain.
Right near the train station, so we get into the Inari station, and we're like, okay, we're gonna do this acai bowl, because
4.9 out of 5 stars.
4.9 out of 5 stars. We get there,
Closed.
and we're just like, Oh my god! What
Yeah.
now? Because we don't have Wi-Fi. We don't have data.
it's just-
We don't know what to do when things go wrong, and that's
Right,
kind of a
and-
common theme. Something goes wrong, and then it's like, well, now we're on our own. So we just start walking. We're like, hey, like, what do we get now? It's like, okay, there's this pastry shop, and we walk in. And there was like this one thing that looked kind of good. It was like this like
Kinda
strawberry tart, but it was like
expensive.
500 yen, not a lot. We're like,
It was a lot for not a lot.
so then I found a bag of like this
like donut hole kind of thing.
kind of for like 300 yen. I'm like, okay, that's not that bad. It was not
It
great.
was mid.
It was. I mean, Liam thinks it was mid. I thought it was below mid. I wasn't having a great time eating them. I really would have only had like 3, but I was just hungry.
I was hungry as well.
I was hungry,
Like,
and it felt rude to throw out half of a bag. So I ate them reluctantly. But hey, we saw
Where?
this mochi ice cream place.
matcha ice cream.
Matcha, sorry. We saw this matcha ice cream place on the way
And
there.
we're like-
So certainly that'll make up for it.
Right, because in my mind, I'm like, oh, the matcha mochi, like that was really good.
This
You wanna
ice
talk
cream-
about the matcha ice cream?
This ice cream was not good. I had like 3 bites of the ice cream, and then I took a couple bites of the cone, and I was like, Liam, I'm not finishing this. And Liam did. But
I finished
I'm
mine,
like,
I was like-
hold on to my cone. I'm gonna find a place to throw out this trash, throw this out, because there's no trash cans here, and I
Right.
searched for
Oh my
5 minutes, and I eventually find a trash can across the street. And I kind of feel bad because we're gonna see
I
they're
feel
gonna
really
see
bad.
melted ice cream in a cone.
Oh, it's so awful.
It's awful. But
But-
I also didn't want the people who I bought the ice cream from to see me
Right,
walk out
like-
with an entire ice cream. Because you're not supposed to eat on the street. So I'm like,
Right.
Liam, block it. So he finishes his cone because he's a good human being who doesn't want to be disrespectful. I just could not, but my stomach was like, hated me for eating that random crap that I ate previously and then eating this ice cream cone. So I'm like hiding behind Liam, trying to like walk out of there without
Oh,
having to like
God.
bow and like say like thank you or whatever. So, and we go across and they're like, this lady's trying to give us free samples, and I'm like ducking and throwing it in the trash, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take this free sample, and I throw that in the trash.
It worked out.
It worked out. No,
somehow.
I don't think anyone saw
No.
it. And the free sample was pretty good, and you tried the other one that was really spicy.
I was
Like-
like, I'm kind of like the test buddy. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, because this guy can't handle spicy food, so every time there's something that looks like remotely spicy, I'll just like, I'll try it. And
Yeah.
so after that, we go to the Inari.
And my stomach, I mean, I'll be
Oh,
honest,
yeah, you're-
I'm like, oh, I hate my life. I
And-
need some solid food in my stomach, but I'm like, let's just fucking not try anymore. Let's just get this day on the road.
Yeah.
So we go to the Nari.
We climb a mountain. Like, it's after this awful breakfast experience
Yeah.
with the matcha ice cream. And so the thing with the matcha ice cream is it could have been sweeter. Like, they definitely could have like added vanilla to it. I think it was just straight up matcha.
It was just straight
flavored ice
matcha.
cream.
It was
like-
thick and straight matcha.
It was like,
It was
it
just
wasn't great. Like,
overpowering matcha.
it wasn't my favorite.
No, there was
And after this breakfast experience, if you can call it that, we climb. We basically hike up a mountain.
And I have a pounding headache, not
Yeah,
only
and-
because we're gaining in elevation, I'm probably dehydrated, but the food I have in my stomach
It's
is very little
not
and
good.
just pure sugar / disgusting.
It wasn't great.
So I wasn't having a great time physically climbing this mountain.
Right, and-
I don't think I was built for this.
Right, and for me, I just conditioned my body through 4 summers of abuse out in California to
Yeah.
do this. Like my sugar and like crappy food and like gas station food before I
Yeah.
climb out. Like that's just my body at this point. Like my body is accustomed to that. Like that is what my body goes through every summer.
And luckily,
And,
I've conditioned myself to survive a year straight of having a headache every day through my, health anxiety. So I was used to just having a headache, and I just, I was just telling myself, Braden, I'm not dying. I don't have like cancer or something. I just it's because the food I've consumed, and I'm cleaning out, logical things. But I have to tell myself that because, I struggle.
Yeah, no, I
Getting
agree.
open and honest here.
Right.
Sometimes it's hard to tell yourself that you have a headache
It
because
does.
you're perfectly fine, but you just are dehydrated or something like that.
it
So I knew better, and I'm like, I've dealt with headaches for a year straight. Don't
Right.
worry, Braden. I'm just climbing a mountain now. I think that's probably why I have a headache, and I've
Right.
eaten nothing but awful sugary food. So we climbed this mountain.
And it was beautiful. All these gates, you know, this is like one of the famous Kyoto temples, and
the German guy who was like,
yeah, there was this German couple there who, you know, we're halfway up the mountain.
we're not even halfway.
Like,
we're like a
third
quarter.
or quarter. Probably.
And he's with his girlfriend.
Yeah,
and they're having an argument.
She wants to go up. He does not. He goes, and this is like the most German. Like I've spent some time around Germans. That were like, but like this just checks out. He goes, we've walked through all these gates. We've seen them all at this point. Let's just go back.
After going through like 100 of the 1,000 gates,
and we're just like, you know what? That's so real though. like really, like yeah, like kind of like the gates are very cool. It's a very nice place to walk, and like I enjoyed the hike. But if you're not conditioned to walk up a mountain, if you don't find walking up a mountain fun like I do, then like this would be like, yeah, like why would you spend an hour climbing up this mountain through 1,000 gates? Like you walk through some of them, you see them all, but as you climb up the mountain, the crowds become less and less because more and more people
give up,
have the idea of the German couple, which like we've seen one, we've seen them all. So you know, various people don't succumb to the sunk cost fallacy, which is interesting. Because you get to the top, there's like a couple people there, and it's like fine. Like the people who are brave enough to get up to the top are great there, and so you know that was that, and you know. We walk down, we kind of go off the beaten path a little bit. We veer off, we go through the forest, and we actually end up finding a bamboo forest.
Yeah,
and
so
this
basically,
is the story we alluded to at the beginning.
Yeah, in the plans, because I've always loved bamboo forests. The plan was that there's actually a really cool bamboo forest at the bottom of Inari that instead of going up through all of the different gates, the 1,000 gates, towards the very beginning, you kind of like pass the first shrine, and if you go to the right, there's a path that you can follow. Get to a really nice bamboo forest, secluded, you're with no one else. Not this video is going to blow up or anything, but the more people talk about this, the less secluded it'll probably end up being. But at least on the websites and Reddit, people mention this like very secluded bamboo forest, and I was like, oh, okay, let's do that. But obviously we have to do the gates, so we had to do the gates first, and the plan was to then go back down and then do the bamboo forest. At this point, we were kind of at this like midpoint, and we started just going this random way because it's sort of a circle, but there was also a third path. We take the third path, and we're like, okay, like let's see what's over here, and we start going down and down and down
and more down,
and there's no one here at all.
Like we're the only ones. The first time in Japan, we've been like the only ones anywhere, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, and we're going the complete opposite direction, and I don't want to walk back up those stairs, I'll be completely honest. And we get to a shrine, because typically that's the other thing about, I don't know if you mentioned about the gates, but you go up 1,000 gates, it's not just 1,000 gates straight, it's kind of like 100 gates, and then you walk a little bit, and then you hit a shrine or temple or cemetery type area, with you kind of know what to expect. There's the candles, and then there's the offering area, all that stuff. And you kind of go through a lot of those until you get to the top. And we were going down and down and down, and eventually find another one of those like offering areas. And there was one lady who was there for a little bit.
Like sweet, I think she might. Yeah,
I don't know. She might have been working there because there was a convenience like tourist, and I'm like, dude, this must be the least no one's probably buying anything from there. But we checked our maps radar, and we're like, oh, it's actually kind of in the direction we want to go to the next shrine. And do we want to turn around and go all of these steps, or do we just want to go straight and walk off this random forest path? And I was like, I'm fine saving the bamboo for another time. So we walked in this forest path, and as Leah mentioned, there was a small little bamboo forest. Worked out, and this is where I almost wanted to desecrate it with L plus B, not D.
Yes. And I was like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Like, don't I am very against as an aside, American idiots traveling, like, don't desecrate natural landmarks or cultural landmarks or really any landmarks. But carving things into trees is like one of my big pet peeves because like that's permanent. Like that's a permanent scar on the tree. And so, like, Braden's about to car, I was like, dude, what the heck are you doing? Like, no, like,
I will say there was a carving already.
There was a carving all in the tree.
And this is a very small path. So I was like, okay, maybe we put, and then now I'm like, it's not working.
Which I was happy that he was able to.
And I didn't care too much about it anyways.
So
yeah, we ended up getting spit out on some like random neighborhood and walk our way through and check out a cemetery, some temples in the area. Then eventually we find our way up to.
What was the big shrine or temple?
I can look,
Yeah,
but we find our way sort of back towards Kyoto Station.
Get some lunch on the way.
Yeah, we grabbed lunch on the way.
Curry rice.
Pretty good. I got like a beef and egg and rice. Pretty solid. 'Cause, I mean, I was starving at that point.
Yeah, I'll just talk about Braden looks up the temple name. So yeah, we see like in the
it was
one
the
temple.
Higashi Hongan Ji Temple.
Okay.
Which is like one of the main. I mean, Kyoto has a ton of temples, but it's one of the main temples. It's right near the Kyoto stop.
Really
it's right near the big Kyoto Tower. Very cool.
We could walk inside. Like that was the first.
We walked inside.
We took our shoes. Walked. It was really cool. Like
yeah.
Awesome. And then we had to book it to the we thought we had to book it to the next temple.
Yeah, because I mean we had this day planned out where we kind of temple hop a lot, and we wanted to book it all the way east from there to the sorry for pronouncing this, but the Kiyomizu-dera Temple. Kiyomizu-dera, right?
It was like one of the famous, Kyoto.
Famous Kyoto temple.
And so, we thought it closed at 4, so we're like
everything, the one we were just at closed at 4:30, so we're just like, we have to get there at 4.
Right.
So we're like, I mean, I put it up in my maps, and it was like, oh, okay, it was 43 minutes, and we left at 14, I think. Like,
it was 11.
We left at, we left at 3:14.
Yes.
And it said it was 7 minutes.
Right.
So that would make us there at 4:01.
Right.
So I was like, we need to book it.
Right.
So we start speed walking.
And it's like we're rushing, and we get there in like 30 minutes. Like we're booking this. Like we get there at like 4:45.
And we start going a little bit uphill, and I'm like, wait a minute, my
there's
ankle
a problem.
really, really hurts. And I guess to keep with the trigger warning for people who don't like cuts and scabs or anything.
If you're squeamish, skip like the next
not awful.
minute of this video.
It's not awful, but I basically probably can't see that well, but I decided, because Lynn was, it's warm outside today-ish, so I'm like, okay, I'll wear my short socks. My shoe, whatever, I have a problem, but basically my socks would roll down enough where they would be, my heel would then be rolling up against my shoe, and that is exacerbated by walking very fast speeds, especially uphill, even jogging every once in a while, and I'm like, I look down, I'm like, oh, I'm bleeding.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm like, we just got to get to the goddamn temple, because the bleeding is not going to, I mean, sure, it'll stop, but like, I'm in this situation.
Right.
I can't uncut my heel.
Right.
So let's just get to the temple. And we get there, and it says it closed. We get there at like 3:50, and it says closed at 6, and I'm just like, oh. So then I pull out all the tissues and napkins that I've stored and clean up my heel. And it's in some kind of state.
And this is also where the lack of common sense on my part kind of comes into play, because before we left on this 3-month trip, I packed like a bunch of first aid supplies, like bandages, alcohol swabs, everything like that.
And it's a good thing you brought them with you today.
Yeah. You would think, wouldn't you? You would certainly think that after I meticulously plan all this first aid supply, I would, throw the first aid kit, the goddamn first aid kit in my backpack. You would think that, wouldn't you? You would think that the 2 degrees from Georgia Tech that I have would compel me to do that. No, you'd be wrong. Because we get up this mountain, Braden's heel's bleeding out. It's bad, and
my shoe is just like half red at this point.
Oh, I have band-aids. He's like, oh, you do? I was like, back in the Airbnb. I was like, oh. So lesson learned: if you pack a first aid kit in preparation for an event like this, make sure the first aid kit is actually on your person.
And this is the other thing. I mean, my hands are like, at this point, my heel and my hands are kind of bloody. So I'm trying to clean this. And we're in this temple. We're walking in a temple, and there's this holy water, and I'm like, okay, I probably shouldn't touch this, because I want to.
You were going to, yeah.
I was like,
you were going.
Well, I was like, oh, I could wash my hands, and then I was like, wait a minute, there's just blood on my hands. Like, I probably should not be touching this holy water at this point.
He's like, oh yeah, Liam, should I wash my hands? I was like, in the sacred water that says sacred water right there, don't do that. And he's like, yeah, you're right. I was like, I'm glad.
Yeah.
See, this is a thing. If at one time both of our collective like brain cell dies off, like, oh, it's so over. Like, it's so over. Like at that point. Like, but at least what I've noticed on this trip is collectively one of us has the brain cell. at least you know, it's shared between us. So if I'm doing something stupid, Braden will be there to correct me. If Braden's doing something stupid, at least I'll be there to correct him. And, you know, that's kind of like what we've noticed. But you know, we visited the temple. Very pretty. There's like a shopping district around there.
Yeah, we got there at a good time because the sun was starting to set.
Got some good pictures.
Well, I got a lot of good photos, and I also knew, you know, just from research that there was a little bit of a area nearby that we could walk through, and it was really cool as well. And there was this Studio Ghibli store-ish thing, like place.
It's really cool.
Got a lot of photos and walked through there, and I luckily didn't spend any more money. I already have like 3 souvenirs from here, one of which is 5. You know, I got Luigi, my boy Luigi in a capsule here. But we have like 5 different. I have 5 different souvenirs from here, one of which is already Studio Ghibli and My Neighbor Totoro. And I almost got another Totoro, you know, souvenir. But it was like 10 USD, and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. But we had a good time, and the Totoro. This can be copyrighted, so let's keep it to like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
But that was playing a lot, and we kept singing that, and that was a lot of fun. But Studio Ghibli place is really cool, and we ended up just walking around. Did we end up getting any food at that point?
We got like the ice cream cinnamon bun thing.
Which
was like the first like not the first, like the lunch was pretty good, but like this was like the first like actually
good food
thing we had all
that day in Kyoto. So that was pretty clutch.
Good. And then
outside of the lunch
right, I mentioned the lunch.
Yeah.
And then we walked to like the last temple, which I forget the name, and then you know we were walking around.
Something.
It's still in like that same line of temples, and then you know Yosaka temple. Okay. And then you know
it was a shrine.
Yosaka
shrine.
So we find out that shrine is actually Shinto and temple is Buddhism or Buddhist. And in the last video, I ignorantly said Shintoism. That's wrong. It's Shinto. The religion is Shinto. It's not Shintoism.
Yeah.
Me being idiot American.
And my ass had them reversed in the order of what we did. The first one was Shinto. The second one was Buddhist. I didn't know. I was praying to something Shinto related.
Yeah, I think Emperor Meiji at the Meiji Shrine, right? Like his soul.
I guess
his soul is enshrined there.
I mean, I didn't speak like, hey, Emperor Meiji, please.
Right.
I was just wishing for Instagram clout and millions of dollars.
Right. We are very ignorant on the Shinto religion. We're very ignorant on the Buddhist religion.
We are very ignorant.
Just in general.
And the sentence.
Stop. Yeah.
And the sentence.
That should be the trend as you watch this, because we're not staying like 3 months in Japan. We're going to 6 countries on this trip. So,
and the level of planning on this trip, I don't know if you guys have figured out, consists of searching it up the day before, what we should maybe do.
Yeah, and as we found out, sometimes even that's not good enough, because you know we go into town in Kyoto after the temples and we get ramen, which is a good welcome change.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And you know we start wandering around. We go to a Nintendo store.
That was fun.
And we get our lovely bottle of plum wine.
Plum wine, which we've consumed.
And we have this whole grand vision. This whole grand vision ends with us today going to this bar that has really good reviews, really good cocktails. It's a cocktail bar. It's like excellent, right? And it's open today, or so we think. We get there, and this place is a ghost town.
It's the sign says, sorry, we're closed on Tuesdays. Well, okay, awesome. Today's a Thursday.
It's Thursday.
And the 14th and the 15th of January. Oh, well, great. Today's the 16th.
So you would think it would be open, and and another couple comes up. And they're like, "Oh, is it closed again?" And we're like, "Yeah, it's closed." And they're like, "Oh, crap!" Because
well, no, the lady, it was they didn't even speak like English like us, but it was funny because the universal word is "fuck." Because they're like, "Oh, is it closed?" And they're like, "Yes," and the lady's like, "Oh, fuck."
And yeah, like,
And we're like, yeah.
because I think they had tried coming back like
Yeah, I think they did.
14 or 15, whatever. So that was rough. And we tried wandering around, finding like different places to like go and get some cocktails. Because like Japan whiskey is like something that's really big, like Japanese whiskey. And like I wanted to have some like good Japanese whiskey cocktails. So we go to like another place. They had like wine cocktails, and I wasn't really in the mood for it. And then at this point, we're kind of just like, you know what? Let's just give up and let's just go home and crack open the bottle of plum wine and have a good time. And that's what we did.
That's where we are.
And you know, we did go to, I did mention the Nintendo store, super cool. Like,
Yeah.
you know, reliving my childhood. You know, seeing like all the Super Mario stuff and like, you know, the Kirby stuff. I was like, oh my god, this is great. Like, I love this company so much. But you know, that was kind of the evening. So it was kind of just like we started the day off with some disappointing food. We really wanted that acai bowl. It's closed. End of the day with some disappointment. We really wanted some good whiskey cocktails. Also closed.
Yeah.
Good stuff in between. Temples, good food, you know, everything like that. But you know, sometimes it takes a disappointing sandwich to, you know, or two. Sometimes a good day is otherwise capped with 2 pieces of disappointment bread.
Okay. Yeah. Sure. Whatever you say, Liam.
This video is running long.
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
probably like an hour and a half.
The point is, I think that even with our limited itinerary, we are still able to find ways to have a good time.
Yeah.
We have like one backup kind of each day where things go wrong. Like, okay, the morning when the acai bowl place was wrong, okay, that led to awfulness. But luckily we had the plum wine that we were able to get back, you know, have the plum wine, unwind a little bit. We were supposed to do some planning.
And, you know,
which
we decided to do a vlog, which will be probably, these things we'll probably do them like maybe once a week, you know. It depends on how long this one is, because this one's run long.
probably has to be every like 4 days.
I think
so.
every 3 or 4 days would probably be good. So this
we'll probably
is
do one
2.
more in Japan.
Yeah, and then we'll see. I don't know if anybody knows where we're going next. That'll kind of be a surprise. Some people do, but see where we're going next. You know, again,
shit, was I not supposed to say?
Crap! Can't believe you said that. Like, yeah, we're going to 36 countries on this trip, give or take a few. So, you know, Japan's country 1. Maybe figure out where we're going next. But yeah, this has been episode 2. It's been a pleasure talking and recapping the last, 3 or 4 days of our life. I think it's been 4 days.
You asked me, I don't know how many days it's been. It's felt like forever.
The days it's kind of weird. They blend together, but they also don't.
It's
like,
so strange.
This morning feels so far away. Anyway, that being said, thank you for checking in with 2 idiot Americans taking on the world, Japan edition. This is episode 2. Stay tuned for episode 3 in a few days. That's all for now, folks. Okay, it wasn't that bad. Hour and a half.